Hey, Dan and Sarah. I guess I feel like, based on these last three videos, I really need to be addressing both of you. Since you are both prominent in all the videos. So I've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. So let's talk about your stuff first. Your bathroom contractor, or the contractor who's working in your bathrooms. Maybe he's the contractor who does a lot of stuff. Clearly he doesn't give a shit. Get it? Bathroom contractor. Anyway. Yeah, and same thing with the contractors on... Is it the same contractor who's working on the scaffolding, who's working in the bathrooms? Maybe different folk. But I'm guessing they have, 3 or 4 other jobs at the same time, which is fairly common with contractors. And, it's no different in the U.S. It's a mystery as to why they don't show up. They come and they get some work done, and then they go and they start working on another project. They never work on them in series. They seem to work on them in parallel, but somehow my job, and yours too, apparently, doesn't get as much work done in parallel as the others do. Or, who knows? Who knows what they're doing? Maybe they're out watching football. Who can tell? Let's say I'm going to try to stick on... but it's tough when you are your own general contractor, because especially when you're in... even if you're in the U.S. or even, but especially if you're in another country, how much of a bad guy do you have to be to get them to show up to get the work done? What you really want, I'm assuming, is you want to know when they're going to be there, what their schedule is, when they're going to be done. It doesn't seem like that's too much to ask, but at least, again, with my experience with contractors in the U.S., it is not the culture of how it works. But that can be really frustrating, especially with the gas issue. Now, clearly, there must be something different about gas. You said the same person who provides you with electric is going to be providing you with gas, but there must be a different mechanism to it as to why you can't get gas service when you got electrical service, and you can't expect to get it within 6 weeks, you said. Now, what you didn't say is, where does that put you on your deadlines? So you're going to be over there through April. May is when the first renters arrive, is that correct? Or is it June? May be an issue. And you're planning on coming home at the end of April or sometime in May. Anyway, I know you want to have these things wrapped up. So again, how much of a heavy do you need to be? And it's really tough, because it's not like they're working in bad faith. It's not like they care less about you than they care about others. It's just, you just don't have a sense of how are these things getting done, and what can I do to make the process go faster? And often there's not much you can do to make the process go faster. When we're building the drive-thrus in Rochester, it was a really frustrating situation for me, because you had this coordination of all these different groups, right? You had the building contractor, you had the people who did the plumbing, the sewer work. You had the people who had to do the asphalt. So when the asphalt got torn up, now somebody had to come and pour the asphalt. But that weren't the same people who did the sewer work or the people who did the building. So it was just, and it's not like as soon as they got done tearing up the asphalt, they were ready to lay more asphalt. There was not somebody there sitting waiting. So now you had to go and lean on the asphalt guy, get that guy to show up. It's really tough if you don't have a person to talk to, for you guys to talk to lean on and say, hey, what's going on? Can you make this go any faster? It's like you need a guy, you know what I'm saying? You need a Welsh guy who understands how to get things done in Wales or in Carnarvon or whatever it is. I think you need to grease some palms. That's what you need to do. Um, so let me know how that works out. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just thinking if you can just pass, a couple of £100 on to a contractor every time they show up, that might make a difference. It may not. But with the gas, there's one of the issues. I'm imagining that what's so different there is that you don't have a backup plan. You're under a great deal of pressure because you're leaving. You're coming back you already have your arrangements to come back to the U.S. I mean, I guess you could just stay a month longer if you had to, but it changes a lot of things. The next thing you know, you're running up against plans that you have made in the U.S. But again, it's what you've embarked on is starting a brand new small business that seems to that has a lot of build out involved. With hopefully all of this stuff that you guys are doing is going to be one-time stuff, right? But it's like getting a business going. It's a ton of work. You never know quite what the schedule is going to be, and you hope you can be open by May 1. I think is that right when you have the first renters? But what's your backup plan? It's not like, the gas guy doesn't show and now you just simply call a different gas guy. There is no, with that kind of thing, there's no backup plan and you're at the mercy of their schedules. And the only way to speed that process up is by sheer force of will, meaning either you just sit back and you just accept that it will happen when it will happen, which may mean that when your renters get there, they have no heat, or you go down and you make it happen by sheer force of will. The problem with that, of course, is it affects your relationships with people, and you depend on these relationships as you plan on owning this house for a long time. And you don't want to be the dickheads from the U.S. who think they're more important than everybody else. And yet you still really want to get things done. So, it's like you don't want to be Donald Trump in Scotland, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, then you can look it up. So there, you've talked about, Dan, one thing that you commented is that Sarah she gets things done. She is a doer. She sees something that needs to be done. She goes and she does it. And now she's up against a bunch of things that are creating a great deal of stress, and she can't simply get it done by wanting it to be done. And, so I don't know if it's possible to take some of those projects, and I think you said that she was starting to share some of the stuff, but take, a project or two off of her shoulders. Like, take the gas project and just say, okay, now it's Dan's project, and you're going to do it, and you're going to stay on it until it gets done. But then the problem, of course, is then Sarah has to let it go, and that's really tough. It would probably help both of you, but certainly it would help Sarah. But again, it might cause more stress, her not knowing and having no control, even though you've got the control. What control there is to have. It's interesting because one of the things that causes a lot of stress for Beth is finances, is money. And this year, because we sold the cafe, and because we also got money in from the state of Minnesota for the Roundabout project, for taking part of our property and involving all that work, that's considered income. Now, the really frustrating part is I get $20,000 from the state of Minnesota. I spend $25,000 on property improvements. It doesn't just reduce my income by $25,000. You know what I mean? So it's anyway. So we ended up with a huge tax bill. And I just, I cannot stress about it. But I also don't feel like I have the need to talk about it, because Beth, even if I'm taking care of it, all the details cause her a lot of stress anyway. So, and it's not that I'm trying to be that person that's like, oh, I'm going to protect the little lady and not let her get stressed and I'll take care of it, because there's a lot of things that she takes care of. She does all the health insurance, all the insurance stuff, and I just honestly, I don't care. B, I'm not that interested. And C, I don't really want to know about it. It's like, don't tell me about this stuff. I don't need to know. Anyway, and I said, if you want to know, I'm happy to share it with you. It is going to cause you a great deal of stress. So know it's taken care of, and if you can let that go, great. In this instance, she was able to. So maybe you guys could do the same thing with the gas project. Package delivery. Yeah, that's really funny. I mean, it's funny how every country does things differently. We just throw shit onto the front porch and call it good, with a little picture to prove that it was on your front porch. Funny story. We've had one instance, at least one, if not two, where they sent me a picture of this package that was delivered, and I'm looking at this picture. It's like, that's not even my front porch. I go online, I report it as being misdelivered, that we never got this thing, only to realize later that this is something Colleen ordered and had delivered to Oliver's house in New Jersey. Oops. So with the package delivery, 11:12 to 12:12, 12:12 to 1:12, it'll be there. It's like the old cable guy. I'll be there somewhere between 8 and 10, and you're there between 8 and 10, nothing, and they show up at 3. It's like, you weren't home. What was I supposed to do? I left. In Estonia, I think they have a great system where they don't get any packages delivered. I don't know if this is something just in Tallinn. And what the post office does is they send you a text or an email when you get something, and then you just come down and pick it up. It's the pain of having to go down to a central processing center to grab it, but in Tallinn, it's not that big of a deal. So I don't know if you have that. I know Amazon especially has these options, where you have delivery centers, or you can have them delivered to a place. In Estonia, again, they have this whole bank of, right outside the grocery store, this whole bank of boxes that you come up with a QR code, you unlock your box, and boop, your little door pops open, and there's your package. So if you can do, I don't know if they have that kind of thing. I'm sure they do. So that way it would at least free you guys up to not have to either hear your doorbell or the knock on the door, which Dan, you said you can't hear from much anywhere in the house, but also that you're not tied to your house. Let's see. Light bulbs. Man, that was a fascinating part of your video. I would like you to tell me more about light bulbs. In fact, if you could tell me more about linens, that would be cool too. Let's see. No, I've not made many videos, Dan, because you said a while back you wanted me to see what we've been doing in the pit. We've not been doing anything in the pit. So we got that drywall finished. We're just doing little patching here and there, but just cleaning up. I know cleaning up is video worthy. For some people, not for me. But we are not doing that much work these days, primarily because Preston has a new job. Did I tell you that he was going to get a new job? That he had applied and got a new job? Did I tell you any of this? So he started on Monday. This would be 2 days ago, on the 1st, with a company called 7 Hawks, as in like, go, Hawks. Vineyard and Winery. They own a tasting room in Fountain City, which is just across a river in Wisconsin. They own a vineyard, which is up on top of the bluffs. And they own 4 or 6 like bungalow rentals for people who are doing, like Airbnbs and that kind of thing. And Preston is their general maintenance fix-it guy. He's like Brad. He's their Brad, without the boiler experience. So it's a day job, not an evening job. So when we would typically be working on the pit, he's not available. Doesn't mean I can't go over there and work. And in fact, tomorrow, Thursday, Ann and Dave are going to come over and help me do some plastering, patching. And I'll make you a video of that. Oh yes, I will. So also, Marshall had an interview with a company called Johnson Controls. I don't know if you're familiar with Johnson Controls. They're a national company. They actually have an office in Pullman, but they do lots of different things. The outfit in Menominee, or rather in Marinette, which is just across the river in Wisconsin from Menominee, they do a lot of fire suppression systems, fire suppression control testings. So the job Marshall applied for would be placing sensors and programming sensors in fire testing situations. And typically they said the people who apply for these jobs are mechanical engineers. He's the first IT guy, computer science guy who's ever applied. We'll see. Well, I think it would be, he's really excited. He would like to work on location at a business. He doesn't want to work remotely. He wants to actually work with people, right? So we'll see. We'll see if he gets that. He had a first interview on the phone, then a second interview, which was 3 hours long. He felt it went really well, but I just imagine he's younger and has different experience than what they have looked for in the past. The question I think becomes, does he, or are they getting a lot of applicants these days? They want somebody who's going to stick around for 5 or 10 years. And that is not the typical plan for most mid-20 somethings. You're lucky if you get them for 2 years or 4 years, then they're gone to do something else. Marshall, I think, would like to stick around. I think they want to stay up in Menominee. So let's hope he gets it. Colleen's back at school, doing her, her school thing. Sure enough, she was there for a week. She's sick, which always seems to happen every time she goes back to school after she's been away for a while. For me, work is work. We're working on Pool 6. Maybe I'll tell you about that in the next video. But for us, we've got crappy weather. It's about right around freezing. It's like 1 or 2 degrees out there. And it's been snowing since yesterday. Interestingly, the snow line, I'm going to see if I can take this outside and show you the snow line. The snow line is halfway up the bluffs. So Ann and Dave's house just got hammered yesterday. And one of my staff who lives up on the ridge could barely get in to work because it was so snowy. Yeah, you can't really see it. But anyway, we don't have much snow on the ground. Just a little bit, and then just a little bit on the roof, and then none stuck to the street. So it's fine here in town. It's just cold, but I think we are on the cusp. Well, fortunately, we had so much warm weather in February and March that it really has made a difference. That meant all the snow that we got here in the last couple of days hasn't stuck. It melted pretty much when it hit because the ground has been so warm. which is great. But over the next 10 days, starting tomorrow, we have 3 days where projected where the highs are in the 40s, and the rest of them are in the 50s and mid 60s. So that's skookum good. Mike and I are planning on playing golf on Saturday. So it's supposed to be mid 40s tomorrow, and then like high 40s, low 50s on Friday, and then Saturday's supposed to be sunny, mid 50s. And we don't tee off until noon. So that's all I have to say. I hope I didn't come across as being, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Anyway, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to talk about our feelings. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm not sorry it's so long because I had a lot to say. And good luck with your projects. And I look forward to tomorrow's video. Remember, light bulbs and linens.